afraid of a religion, of a disease called AIDS for several reasons. Reason number one is it's the fastest growing disease, and one survey says that every 7 minutes one person gets this disease. That's the reason number one. Number two, we could identify the virus about 40 years ago, but yet we are not able to find to get rid of that. So that's the second reason people are very much frightened about it. The third reason is, if anybody gets this disease, people will look down at them because 90% of them, they get this disease because of their kind of lifestyle. And that's why people hate when they are found to have this kind of disease. But I'm not going to speak about AIDS today or HIV, but I want to speak about something even worse. And this is worse because AIDS is attacking the world at the rate of 1 person in every 7 minutes. But the kind of disease I'm speaking about, every minute 7 people are attacked. Every minute 7 people are attacked. I was reading one book, and the author says if there are 100 people in any given place, 70 of them probably have this disease. Probably today, some of you are sitting here with that kind of disease. That disease can be attacked by anybody, like he can be a preacher, he can be an evangelist, he can be a godly person, he can be a normal person. Anybody could get it. And we're going to discuss about that. I want to speak about this disease because this disease is so horrible that when you get it, you feel like crushing yourself. You want to die. You want to question why I'm living on this earth. And that's called depression. I believe a lot of people have that. And I'm coming from Bangalore. And in India, Bangalore is considered to be the costly city. And there are more number of people there who earn 5-digit salary. And yet it is called the suicide capital of India. 2014, 1,446 people committed suicide in Bangalore city alone. And police say that if one case come to police station, suicide case, 6 cases are waived off. That means every day 20 people are committing suicide in Bangalore city alone. And psychiatrists say that if one suicide is successful, there are 50 attempts. And that means nearly 1,000 people want to commit suicide every day in Bangalore city. And most of them are from the affluent section. They are rich, they have money, they have status, they are into relationships, everything. But they want to die. Why? What's the reason? Probably some of you here are into that situation. Is there a way to come out of it? What could be the kind of prayer in that kind of situation? I have a very less time. So what I would like to do is this. I would like to show you 5 characters in the Bible who went into depression. 5 characters. When you listen to these 5 characters, you get a kind of a comfort. Wow, even these people get depressed? Cool. No problem, man. That's the first thing. The second, I would like to look at a 6th character who went into depression and came out. And we will try to see how and why and what made him to come out of that depression. And we'll try to apply that. If you are into any kind of depression, probably that helps you today. So that's what I'm trying to do today. And who are these 5 characters? Now, if you go to Israel, if you go to any Jew, and if you ask him, who is your Mahatma? We have a Mahatma in India, it's Gandhi. We have a Mahatma in Telangana, he is KCR. And who is the Mahatma of the Jewish world? They will say, Moses. He gave us the idea of a nation. He gave us the idea of independence. So he's a Mahatma. Moses is not an ordinary guy. He's so great in several realms, in a lot of realms. He's a builder, he's a fighter, he's a manager. If I have to give him that description. If anybody here are doing MBA, a Master in Business Management, you have to study a concept called decentralization. And he's the first guy to decentralize the people and involve. He's the father of management. If anybody is interested in kickboxing or karate, probably they have to refer Moses. With one shot, he could kill a person. Right? If anybody here is from structural engineer, probably they have to refer Moses, because there are 504 pyramids in Egypt. Some of them have been designed by Moses. So, great man. Bible makes one statement, Sakala Vidyaలలో ఆయన ప్రావీణ్యుడు. That's one statement. He is excellent. He is A+ in several subjects of Egypt. That's what Moses' description is. But this man was chosen by God. And this man has experienced God in various ways. Right before his eyes, he could see the Red Sea parting. And when he was hitting the rock, the water started gushing out. He has seen everything of that. But at one moment after all this, he comes to God and says, Lord, I want to die. Am I faking? Am I creating a story? No. Numbers, if you read Numbers chapter 11, well, if you try to open the Bible, I think probably you will miss. I'll quickly look into it. Moses said to the Lord, why have you dealt with your servant, and why have I not found favor in your sight that you lay the burden of all these people on me? Did I conceive all these people? Did I give them birth that you should say to me, carry them in your bosom as a nurse carries a nursing child? So the land that you swore to give their fathers, where am I to get meat to all these people? For they weep before me day and say, give us meat that we may eat. I am not able to carry all these people alone. The burden is too heavy for me. If you will treat me like this, kill me at once. If I find favor in your sight, that I may not see my wretchedness. Lord, kill me. This is prayer. And this is Moses. The one who encountered God, the one who spoke to God face to face, he looks up and says, Lord, kill me. Why did you bring to this situation? Why did Moses get into this kind of depression? If we can quickly look into the reason is this. Moses was trying to carry a burden which is unnecessary. You got my point? Unnecessary. There are 2 million people and he has to provide meat. Each fellow will eat 1 pound. That means 2 billion pounds. Where from he will get meat? Impossible for any human being to get that much of meat. But why did Moses want to carry that burden? Some of us get into depression because we carry a burden which is unnecessary. Which is unnecessary. There are burdens which you are supposed to carry. There are burdens which you have to put it on God. Can I give an example? 2 examples I can give. One is a typical Indian example. The other one is an example for a guy who wants to come to a country like US. Now in India, if you are getting married, after 1 year, usually neighbors will ask, good news, huh? And if there is no good news, then it is not bad news, that is horrible news. And this family goes into a kind of a trauma. And this lady goes into a kind of a depression. Why? I don't have a child. So what? Are you producing a child? Is it an A+? Is it an A? Children are a gift from God, that's what Bible says. If God is not giving gift, why should you worry? It's God's worry, not your worry. It's not your problem, it's God's problem. You have to put it on God. Why you want to carry that burden and get into depression? Some people do that. The second one is this. If you want to come to US, particularly if you want to have an H1, you know H1 has nothing to do with your intelligence, nothing to do with your documentation. It's everything to do with lottery. Am I right or wrong? Am I right or wrong? If you are not able to get the lottery, why should you worry? Why should you break your head? Some people do that and go into a kind of a depression. Hey, I did not get. So what? So what? US is not the ultimate destiny in the world. You have a better destinies in this world, in fact. So some people go into a kind of a depression by carrying a burden which is unnecessary, like Moses. So this is character number 1. The character number 2 is this. When I was doing my Bible college, my teacher for my graduation, she asked me to do certain papers. And she said, if you are able to give 3 international papers, she said, I would like to push you to a level where you can get a medal in the college. I said, okay. And one of the papers I want to do was this, on the one more popular, the one greater than Moses you would like to have, you will have. That's the verse I want to take, and I said I want to do a paper on that. Then she looked at me and she, with sarcasm, said, do you want to prove it's Muhammad? I said, no. Do you want to say it's Jesus? I said, no. Then what? I said, that's my paper. That's my paper. And she said, no, I should know. I said, give me a 3 days time. I would like to give you reasons why I want to say that man. I have that man in my mind. And after 3 days, she's so enthusiastic that you know who that person is. I said, it's Elijah. Elijah. Why? Elijah is a guy, when he prayed, every time God answered. Every time. He prayed that rain should stop. It stopped. He prayed that rain should come. It came. He prayed that fire should come. It came. He prayed that man should come back to life. It happened. Every time he prayed, God answered, except once. Except once. This was his prayer which God did not answer. And he himself went a day's journey into the wilderness and came and sat under a broom tree. And he asked that he might die, saying, it is enough now, O Lord, take away my life, for I am no better than my forefathers. Kill me. Imagine a man so powerful like Elijah looking up, holding his fist, kill me, Lord. That would have been his prayer. Why? He was depressed. If you look into this man's life 24 hours before this prayer, he was on Mount Carmel facing King Ahab with all his 850 prophets and most of the kingdom people, and he won the game. He prayed and the fire came down. He killed all the 850 prophets, and God said, now pray. He prayed and the rain was about to come. He ran down from the mountain into the valley, and the queen looks at Elijah and says, fellow, 24 గంటల్లో నీ ప్రాణం తీపోతే నన్ను అడుగు. I will kill you in 24 hours. That's what the queen threatened Elijah. That fellow ran away to the end of the kingdom, left his servant, ran outside the kingdom into the desert, and under a bushy tree kneels like a dog and looks up and says, God, now kill me. What's the problem with Elijah to get into depression? Every time Elijah did something, one of these two should have happened. Either God told him or he asked God. Either God told him or he asked God. This is the only decision in his life which he never asked God, nor God told him. It was his decision. Sometimes we can make a decision and we know that it is wrong, but our egos come and we don't want to accept it's a mistake. We go into a kind of a depression for our wrong decisions. Elijah made a wrong decision. He was not having enough guts to come and say, Lord, I'm sorry, I made a wrong decision. But he wanted to say, why this has happened? Why? Why? He wanted to scream at God and say, why did this happen? So this is the second person and second reason. Moses was carrying unnecessary burden. Elijah has taken unnecessary decision. Who is the third character? He is the greatest evangelist ever lived on the face of the earth. Why? Without a peer system, without advertisement, without a conference facility, without a vehicle that can carry him, just walking within 8 hours, he preached gospel on the roads. 120,000 people responded to his message. Jonah. And Jonah, after this huge success, probably should be celebrating. But instead of celebrating, he went into a kind of depression. And he was praying like this. First, Jonah chapter 4 verse 3. Therefore now, O Lord, please take my life from me, for it is better for me to die than to live. Why Jonah went into depression? For you to understand why Jonah went into depression, I want to create a story. Probably that can make you to understand. Just imagine you have a son who is doing his 10th grade, okay, year 10. And you came to know that year 10 results have come. And you are just waiting. Your son went out and he has to come. And suddenly he opens the door and walks in. You are little bit hesitant to ask him what happened. Then he silently slips into his room and closes his door. What do you understand? You got it. And you're silent. You're really dull. That probably your son did not get through. And then your neighbor comes. She opens the door. Pinni, baundara. That's all. Then she says, results vachayanta. Avuna, naku telide. Ma ammaiki first class vachindi. Now you tell me what will be your situation. You are depressed not because your son failed, but your neighbor's daughter got first class. Okay? Onida says neighbors envy, owner's pride. This is the reverse of it. You go into a kind of a depression because somebody else got it, you did not get it. My friends, don't think this is strange. Many of you have this in your own companies, in your own situations, in your own. They got it. They are blessed. They have a house. They are not questioned. They got, I did not get. If somebody else gets it, why should you worry? Jealousy can lead you into a kind of depression. Jonah got into depression because of jealousy. Why, God, you are showing mercy on them? Why, God, you have forgiven them? I know that you are going to forgive. That's why I don't want to tell about you to them. That was Jonah. 3 reasons we got and 3 persons. Unnecessary burden, unnecessary decision, and jealousy. And now let's look at the 4th person. These 3 guys are from the Old Testament and this guy is from the New Testament. Now Paul is a great man. I admire him a lot. And if at all there is one person who lived completely according to the scriptural values, it was Paul. That's why he was able to make a statement, follow me as I follow Christ. Imitate me as I imitate Christ. He was able to say that. And Paul knew that God will not allow a situation which is beyond our capacity. He taught it in the scriptures. He wrote it to the people, but still he himself went into a kind of a depression. 2 Corinthians chapter 1, I'm reading. 11th verse. For we do not want you to be unaware, brothers, of the affliction we experienced in Asia. For we were so utterly burdened beyond our strength that we despaired of life itself. Indeed, we felt that we have received the sentence of death, but that was to make us rely not on ourselves, but on God who raises the dead. We thought almost that we are dead. We despaired. Why? Why did Paul go into that kind of despair? He had a promise. He knew God was with him. But still, why that kind of despair? In spite of all the promises, in spite of all the theology, in spite of all the biblical experience you have, still there are some people who can get into a kind of depression because of stress, because of external situations. Sometimes Satan can blind us and take us into a kind of depression. This is the 4th person. My friends, the 5th person, I have a lot of hesitation to reveal his name. To tell about this 5th person, I need to give a disclaimer. I believe Jesus Christ is the Son of God. I believe Jesus Christ has picked me up from a dirty dungeon. I believe that Jesus Christ is my Savior. I believe that He lived a sinless life. I believe He's God incarnate. There is no doubt about it. But He Himself went into a kind of that stress. And that happened on the night He was going to be crucified on the cross. In the Garden of Gethsemane, He leaves 3 of His disciples and goes inside, picks up a stone, and He probably keeps His ankle there and looks up and said, Daddy, I don't want to die on the cross. No, I don't want to take. Can you change the plan? Father probably looks down and says, no, you have to do it. That's the reason you went there. He comes to his disciples and says, please man, pray. I'm unable to handle this. Comes again and looks up and says, Daddy, no, I can't do this. It's winter, it's garden, it's night, but he was sweating. He goes again and requests his disciples to pray. Comes back. Now the third time he looks up and says, okay, I will die on the cross. And probably he touches his forehead and finds it's all greasy, blood oozing out. It's called hematochromatosis, hypertension, BP crossing 250. That's the stress Jesus went through. And finally he agreed. Why Jesus had to go through that kind of stress? Because it was necessary, so that we could go to him and say, Jesus, I'm having a problem. Jesus says, I understand that problem because I myself went through problems. For this, I'll give you a quickly example. There was a missionary to Congo. Her name is Dr. Helen. She was from Scotland. Congo is a communist country and preaching the gospel is not allowed. She opened a clinic and she used to have few nurses with her. And what they used to do is this: when these women come there to the hospital, they used to treat them, and in the process they used to share the gospel. The police came to know that these people are spreading the gospel. They attacked the hospital, demolished it, and they abused the women. And one of the nurses, she went into a kind of a trauma, and she was treated by Dr. Helen. On the third day, when she came to senses, Dr. Helen looks at her and says, praise God, you came back to life. And do you know what that lady says? Why did you allow me to live? You should have killed me. Why did you? Then she says, why? What's your problem? You know, when I came to this country, when I landed in this country, I prayed like this: Lord, I'm a virgin. I want to die as a virgin. All my life I want to serve you. But 3 days back, four men have raped me, have abused me. Physically, they have demolished. And Dr. Helen looks at her and says, it's okay. When you die, you are not going to go with this physical body. According to God, you are still a virgin. Then she looks and says, are you a woman or not? Can't you understand my agony? Then she says, can you keep quiet? When you have been raped by 4 people, I was raped by 7. When the 6th person was raping me, I thought I should end my life. But God told me, it's not your mistake. I want you to be there because you are the best person to comfort people who have been abused. My friends, if you have an experience, if you have a bad thing that happened in your life, remember, God uses all of that for His good. Somebody was asking me this afternoon, I'm going through a suffering. How can I minister to the others? I said like this: because you are suffering, you can definitely comfort those who are suffering. Jesus went through the suffering, so He has become friend to all those who are suffering. You have a problem? You're feeling lonely? You're feeling thirsty? You're feeling hungry? You have been deceived? You have been left alone? You have been questioned? You have been abused? You are going through all kinds of problems. You go to Jesus. He will say, I can understand that. I can understand that. So my friends, I've given you 5 characters. All these 5 characters went into that kind of trauma. And from this you must be able to get one comfort. That is, oh cool, if I'm depressed, I'm not alone. I'm with all the big guys. Moses, Elijah, Jonah, Paul, Jesus. Cool. But I want to give you the 6th guy. And this person, he not only went into depression, but came out of the depression. If I go to God and says, God, among the millions of people who are able to make up to heaven, can you name the top 10 guys you like so much? If Jesus starts giving the names of those 10 people, probably this person should be there in them. Because if Jesus wants to tell the names of the people, if God wants to tell the names of the people, he will definitely speak about one guy who is Mera Jigri Jaan, Dil Ka Tukda, David. The man after my own heart. This man till he was 50 was cool, nice, everything okay. But once he probably crossed 50, he went into series of problems. Problem number one, when he was about to go to war, he had a lot of pizza. And the pizza was too much upon him. He wanted to find thumbs, he could not find thumbs. So he's walking on the terrace. And he saw a lady taking bath. She's not only topless, but her washroom is also topless. And this fellow was dragged into that. He comes down, being the king, he says, I want that lady. He enjoys that lady, probably had a clean wash and he thought everything is gone. And after 3 months, she comes and says, I'm pregnant. He wanted to throw it off by bringing the husband. That fellow was not willing to budge. So he kills that husband and he marries that lady and he thinks it's all over. But one day a prophet comes and says, you are that liar. You are that person who put God into problem. And not only that, he loved that boy who was born to that lady. One day he was very sick. He was praying and suddenly he died. 3 things till now. He was found to be an adulterer. He was found to be a murderer. And then the one whom he loved died. And one day somebody runs to him and says, King, what happened? Your daughter has been raped. Who is that fellow? I will kill him. Sir, I'm sorry to tell you, he was raped by your own son. What? Yep. Your own son has raped your daughter. What a horrible situation. And then another man comes and says, your son has been killed by another person. Who is that other person? He's also your son. What a family it is. Horrible. And another person comes and says, sir, your son wants to kill you. Probably he wanted to go his wife. And his wife says, I doubt you. He wanted to go to his kingdom. They said, you get away. He's literally homeless. Now, along the river Jordan, there is a path. And he takes that path and the path goes onto a mountain called Hermon. He walks up to the mountain and he was just wandering. And on the mountain there is a rich man's guest house. The rich man finds this man David and says, come on, stay in our house. When David was in that house, God encountered him and brought him out of depression. In that situation, David wrote a psalm. I want you to look at that psalm. It's an 11-verse psalm. In those 11 verses, 6 verses, he describes what happens when you are depressed. And he defines how you can come out of that depression in the next 5 verses. If you have your Bibles, open with me to Psalm 42. Psalm 42. The moment you open the Bible to Psalm 42, the first question that comes into your mind is this. I was trying to give an introduction to this psalm as the Psalm of David. But if you look at this psalm, it says, it's written whatever it is, it belongs to sons of Korah. Let me tell you who are the sons of Korah. In number 16, you find a person called Korah who was killed by God because he was doing rubbish things. And the earth opened its mouth and he was drawn into it and died. But his sons were alive. The sons were actually choir members. They used to play music and they used to sing songs. From that time to David's time, it's about 500 years. Okay? Definitely sons won't be alive that long. So, Sons of Korah is the name of a band. Sons of Korah is the name of a troop. These sons, as they go generation-wise, they were still continuing to be singers in the courts till the Solomon's time. Okay? And these people used to do 2 kinds of songs. Number 1, they used to write and compose music. And sometimes they used to pick up the songs written by somebody else and they used to compose music. This is the song written by David and the music composed by sons of Korah. And if you look into this psalm, you can clearly see how David explains the trauma when somebody goes through depression. So my friends, we'll look into that psalm. In this psalm, first of all, I told you that David graphically describes what happens when you go through depression. My friends, I've been through depression so many times. Twice I tried to commit suicide. Okay? And when I'm trying to explain the trauma a person goes when he or she is in depression, I'm not only sharing David's experience, but also my own experience. I'm able to do it boldly because now I came out of it. I want to share this because if there is anyone here going through that kind of depression, you should know how to pray, what to pray to come out of that. And that's my whole concept, my friends. Let's look at Psalm 41. As a deer pants for flowing streams, so pants my soul for you, O God. My soul thirsts for God, for the living God. When shall I come and appear before God? Deer is an animal that is sold out to water. తెలంగాణలో చెప్పాలంటే నీళ్లు చూస్తే ఫిదా అయిపోతుంది. ఫిదా. ఇక దునియా కనబడుతుంది దానికి. It can't see anything else. It loves water that much. And often deer is killed when it is drinking water. Because it's least bothered about other things. It just carried away by water. Do you know why David is using this example? The way deer loves the water, my soul is thirsting for you. Human soul is made for God. But the tragedy is humans are not able to understand that. And there are several reasons for that. Let me give you a classic example. I got 3 friends. And all the 3 said they are thirsty. To the first, I gave water. To the second, I gave Coke. And to the third, I gave whiskey. All the 3 drank. My question is this: whose thirst is satisfied? Cool. Now let me ask you this question. Be bold enough to give the right answer. Who is honored most in this world? The whiskey guy. Now, can you imagine the horrible situation of that fellow? Everybody applauds, but he's feeling thirsty inside. Many of us are like that. We want the applause of the people, but we are drained out inside. Is that not the situation of a lot of celebrities? They have everything outside and nothing inside. Are you one like that here? You have money, you have fame, you have name, you have status, you have everything, but empty here. How horrible it is. How horrible it is. David is saying that. I have name, I have everything, but my soul is dried up. My soul is dried up. That's called depression. When you are depressed, when somebody comes and asks you what happened, do you know what will you answer? Nothing. Nothing. If somebody is so close to you and they ask you what happened, do you know what you will say? You can't understand. నీకు అర్థం కాదులే, వదిలిపెట్టాను. Leave me alone. Leave me alone. Have you made statements like that in your life? You can't understand me. I'm feeling dried up. I don't know to whom I should go. That's what David's expression is. Now look at the verse 3. My tears have been my food day and night, while they say to me all the day long, where is your God? There are two reasons for you to cry, weep. Reason number 1, if somebody abuses you, somebody hits you, somebody scolds you, you will weep. At that time, you weep in such a way that everybody can weep like this. Do you know why I'm showing like that? When you weep like that, your face will change the shape and the tears will go this side and that side. But when you are depressed, you will be walking along, you will be doing everything, but you will be weeping and your face will be normal. When you are weeping like that, the tears come and they stop here in the corner of the nose. They stay there for a couple of seconds and at once they fall on your upper lip. When they fall on the upper lip, what all you will do is this. It will be light itchy. You just open up your tongue and you take that drop and it will be very salty. You may be asking me, how do you know that? I tasted it so many times. I tasted it so many times. At that time, do you know what's the feeling? Hey, I am ending up in drinking my own tears. I have nothing else. And David says, my tear has become my food. My food. It's so horrible, my friends. You might have done it so many times. You might have wept and you don't want to show to anybody that you're weeping. But at the same time, you want to cry out loud. You are not allowed to do it. Do you know in that situation what I would do? I go into the washroom, switch on the tap, sit beside it, cry out loud, throw the water on the face, cover my tears, and come out. Have you done like that? That's called depression. That's called depression. I still remember one incident in my life where I was covering myself and I was crying inside without making any sound. It's in the afternoon. I have a buddy who came into my room and the moment he started coming into my room, he was screaming, "Ray!" I know he came. The first thing he would do is this. He will throw off my blanket. I don't want to show him that I'm weeping. Do you know what he did? Before he could come, very artfully, I opened my blanket in such a way, the blanket as it was opening, it cleared up my tears. The moment my face came out, do you know what I did? Hey, Ravana. Hey, many of you are like that. You are crying inside, but smiling outside. You're bubbly outside, but boring inside. You look so great outside, so hollow inside. That's called depression. That's called depression. Sometimes you might be depressed and your neighbor probably don't identify it. That's what David says. And when he was going into that kind of depression, while they say to me all the day long, "Where is your God?" On the top of it, you are not able to answer the questions that come in your heart and the people raise. How horrible it is. And then let's go to verse 4. "These things I remember as I pour out my soul. How I would go with the throng and lead them in procession to the house of God with glad shouts and songs of praise, a multitude keeping festival." He's remembering a joyful moment, but still he is remembering in a tragic way. Joyful moment, can it become tragic? Yes, it can. It can become tragic. Let me give you a classic example. Just imagine your daughter got married and after 5 days she goes out with her husband. And after 2 days, she calls you. That's the first call as a married lady she's making. You pick up the call with a lot of anxiety. The moment she starts speaking, she says, "Mama, this fellow is a horrible fellow. He already started abusing me with his cigarettes. He's already married. He's going to kill me, Ma." The moment you hear that, you don't know what to do. You just off the phone and you're sitting. Don't know how to handle the situation. At that moment, the calling bell rings and you open the door. The videographer comes in and says, "Madam, pelli video adripoyindi." Will you be happy? The photographer comes and says, "Made for each other photographs." And you, "Bawni, do you like it?" Happy news becomes horrible news. That's what David says. "I waged 17 wars to give this country the freedom to worship the Lord and took all the people onto the mountain to worship God, and these people have thrown me away." can he enjoy the remembrance of those festivals? He cannot. That's depression. Depression is such a horrible thing. Even if you remember good news, it becomes horrible news. That's depression. Nothing can comfort you. Nothing can satisfy your thirsty soul. That's depression. That's what David says. We'll read verse 5 later. We'll go to verse 6. And my God, my soul is cast down within me, therefore I remember you from the land of Jordan and of Hermon, from Mount Mizar. Deep calls to deep at the roar of your waterfalls. All your breakers and your waves have gone over me. Now, let me give you a little bit of geography. Now, if Israel is at this ground level, Mount Hermon is 9,000 feet above the ground level, and Dead Sea is 1,300 feet down the ground level. So Jordan River flows down 10,300 feet. It's almost 3 kilometers. It's almost 2 miles. It flows down. So now this man David is on Mount Hermon, and he was watching Jordan sending water down. Jordan is a river that has life. Dead Sea is the sea that has no life. Nothing lives there in Dead Sea. So this water is actually flowing into the Dead Sea. As the water is flowing down, the waves are going. He looks at those waves and he says, like the waves, the problems are on to me. How many times you made this statement? In a typical Telugu, కష్టాలన్నీ ఒక్కసారి వచ్చి పడ్డాయిరా, సమస్యలన్నీ ఒక్కసారి వచ్చి పడ్డాయిరా. Have you made that statement? That's what David was trying to say. Wave after wave, there is no break, there is no stop, everything falls on me and I don't know how to handle this. My friends, that's depression. David described depression in these words. Having described in these words depression, he gives 3 steps to come out of the depression. This is what he did to come out of the depression. Let's look at verse 5. Why are you cast down, O my soul, and why are you in turmoil within me? Hope in God, for I shall again praise him, my salvation and my God. The first thing what David did was this. He looked inside and understood what exactly is the situation. My friend, when you're going through depression, when you're feeling lonely, the most horrible thing is not sound, but silence. If everything is silent, you will hear only your heartbeat, and it becomes horrible. It's horrible. If I continue to be silent for a couple of minutes like this, some of you will have heart attack. Do you know why? You're not able to bear silence. మీలో ఎవడో ఒకడు లేసి ఏదో ఒకడు వాగరా బాబు, నువ్వు సైలెంట్గా ఉండద్దు, వాగు, నువ్వు వాగితే బాగుంది. సైలెంట్ ఉంటే తట్టుకోలేను. Jesus Christ was silent before Pilate. Pilate gets up and says, speak something. If you're silent, I can't bear this. Silence kills you. My friends, the most tragic situation is this. When you're going through depression, you want somebody to say I love you. It's good. But can you look at mirror and say I love you? అది నీకు నువ్వే నచ్చవు, ఎవరికో నచ్చాలంటే ఎక్కడ వద్దురా? అవునా కదా? జిందగీలో ఎప్పుడైనా అబ్బా ఎంత ముద్దుకున్నావే అని అన్నావా నువ్వు? అన్నా ఎవడో అనాలని ఆశపడతావు నువ్వు? ఆలోచించు. గలీజు. We can't love ourselves, but we want others to love us. We want to say I love you to others. But when you are able to look in, you are able to know where your problem is. Unless and until you recognize your problem, God cannot deal with this. Do you know why? When you go to your doctor, నాకు నొప్పి ఎక్కడ నేను చెప్పా చెప్పకపోతే నేనేం చేయను, నువ్వు మందు నేను ఇయ్యా అంటాడు ఆయన. That's what doctor can do. If you go to God and say, God, I'm having pain, God will ask you, why, where? I will say, no, I don't know, I can't, I will not. Then God will say, okay, I'll keep quiet. Now you have a question. I know that. సార్ డాక్టర్కి తెలవదు, ఆయన ఇయ్యలేదు, దేవుడికి తెలుసు కదా. డాక్టర్కి తెలవదు కాబట్టి ఇయ్యడు, దేవుడికి తెలుసు కాబట్టి ఇయ్యడు. దేవుడికి తెలుసు నీకు నొప్పి ఎక్కడో, కానీ నీకు కొవ్వు ఎక్కువ అని తెలుసు ఆయనకి. తెలిసి నోరు చెప్పు, అందుకనే నీ కొవ్వు ఎక్కువ, అందుకే చెప్పడు ఆయన, చెయ్యడు ఆయన. అన్లెస్ యూ కన్ఫెస్, ఐ విల్ నాట్ క్లియర్. That's where prayer comes. Prayer is the honest cry that comes from within. Lord, this is where I have went wrong. This is my problem. This is my agony. This is my pain. If you tell God, He will handle the issue. Looking in, you are able to look up and say, where's your problem? Now let's look at verse 8. That's the second stage. By day, the Lord commands His steadfast love, and at night, His song is with me, a prayer to the God of my life. I say to God, my rock, why have you forgotten me? Why do I go mourning because of the oppression of the enemy? David looked inside and he realized where the pain was. And he looked up and he found out where the solution comes from. It's from God. It's from God. He looked up and he found grace. What do you mean by grace? Grace means, if I have to give it in a nutshell, Jesus was dying on the cross. He was abused. He was bruised. He was going through all kind of traumatic situation. When he was about to die, that neighbor, the one who was crucified with Jesus, looks at Jesus and say, hey Jesus, ఇంద్రబాయ్, నీ రాజ్యంలో వచ్చినప్పుడు నన్ను కూడా యాద్ చేసుకోవా? జీసస్, ఇఫ్ యూ హ్యాడ్ మేడ్ వన్ ఆఫ్ దీస్ టూ స్టేట్మెంట్స్, పీపుల్ విల్ ఫైండ్ ఫాల్ట్ విత్ జీసస్. అరే నోరు మీద నేనే సస్తుంటే నన్ను అడుగుతావు, రైటే రాంగా? రైటే. చెయ్యి నోర్మి, దరిద్రుడివి, దుర్మార్గుడివి, దుష్టుడివి, పరలోకం కొద్దాం అనుకున్నా, చెయ్యి నోర్మి. ఇది రైటా రాంగా? రైటే. బోత్ ఆర్ రైట్. బట్ జీసస్ డిడ్ నాట్ యూజ్ దీస్ టూ స్టేట్మెంట్స్. ద థర్డ్ వన్ హీ యూజ్డ్, ఓకే మ్యాన్, you will be with me in paradise today. That's grace. We are not worthy. We can't even make up there. But Jesus says, I'll take you there if you look up to me. My friends, this night, I want to tell you one thing. If you are able to have an honest look up and say, God, I am completely down, drained out, I made a mistake, I'm coming to you. If you are able to say that, you will experience God's grace. There is absolutely no doubt. He looked inside, found he is down. He looked up, he found he can be picked up. And now the last verse, 11th verse. Why are you cast down, O my soul? And why are you in turmoil within me? Hope in God, for I shall again praise Him, my salvation and my God. He looked inside, he is down. He looked up, he knew he can be picked up. He looked forward, and he had a clear hope that he can walk along. My friends, you might have come to this convocation with a depressed heart. You might have come here completely drained out, dry, dull, good for nothing. But my friends, if you are able to identify where you have gone wrong, I believe that the Spirit of God is already ministering to you. If you are able to find out, you can look to yourself and say, Lord, this is where I have gone wrong. This is where I have drained out. This is how I am down. I look to you. Please lift me up. If you are able to say that, my friends, tonight you're going to see the salvation of God. Tonight you're going to experience the grace of God. Would you like to do that? Shall we all bow down our heads, close our eyes? I want you not to pray. I'm saying it again. I request you not to pray. Then what we should do? Look into your own hearts with an honest eye. See if it is happy. See if it is comfortable. If it is dry, if it is dull, if it is down, be honest. Now to look up and say, Lord, I am dull. I am down. I am dry. Can you show forth your grace upon me? నీ కృపా వర్షము నా మీద కుమ్మరించు దేవా. ఎండిపోయాను నేను, ఆరిపోయాను నేను, ఓడిపోయాను నేను, జారిపోయాను నేను, పడిపోయాను నేను. బయటికి నవ్వుతూ కనబడుతున్నాను, కానీ లోన నా బ్రతుకు అది కాదు ప్రభా. యు నో ఇట్, యు నో ఇట్. ఫర్గివ్ మీ లార్డ్. లిఫ్ట్ మీ దిస్ నైట్. Give me the joy of salvation. My friends, I would like to pray and conclude. If there is anyone here who want to ask Jesus to lift you up, if there is anyone here who wants to ask Jesus to pick you up, you can pray. If you are praying that prayer, can you lift up your right hand and show it to me? I would like to pray with you, my friends. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Anybody else? Don't hesitate. God loves you, and this is a wonderful moment. Thank you, my friend. You can put your hand down. Thank you. Thank you. We look to the Lord in prayer. Father, we thank you so much, Lord, for this psalm. Thank you so much, Lord, that you minister to your soul. Thank you so much, Lord, that you come down with grace. Thank you, Lord, that you want to lift us up. Thank you, Lord, for all those people to whom you ministered at this moment. Bless them, O Lord. Even as your servant comes to teach your word, preach your master, I pray that your anointing may be upon him. Continue to minister to us. In Jesus' name we pray.